Or shot fire, officer down, shot fire, officer down. Got a city officer down, shot fire.
223, be advised, we have a visual on enemy paratroopers at grid Papa uniforms.
Welcome to the Resilient Warrior Nation, a podcast dedicated to inspiring hope and healing for first responders, military veterans, and anyone facing PTSD and trauma. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Resilient Warrior Nation podcast. I'm your host, Mike Morgan. Today I have a very special guest and my first time being on location on a shoot. So let me go ahead and introduce my first guest, Christopher Martinez, my boy Kable, a retired law enforcement officer with 24 years of service. Chris's extensive career includes 8 years with the Hialeah Police Department, 16 years with the Miami Gardens Police Department, 4 years in the Army, and 2 years in the National Guard. Despite his professional success, Chris faced significant personal battles, including depression, PTSD, suicidal ideations, and substance abuse, which led him into a dark place. Chris's turning point came when he found faith, transforming his life and igniting a passion for advocacy. Now he champions physical and mental wellness, stressing the importance of having a crisis plan in place. His story is not just a testament to resilience, but a vital message for those facing similar struggles or supporting others who do. Join us as Chris shares his journey of overcoming adversity and his mission to promote wellness and preparedness. Brother, welcome to the Resilient Warrior Nation. I am pumped to have you on.
No, man,
Show
I'm glad
some
to
love.
be on. Finally.
Yes, we're here on location at your place, the Miami Man Cave. It's a beautiful place, by the way. My first time being here. Received the grand tour. It is, how would you describe the Miami Man Cave to our viewers?
Basically, it's like a 2,000 square foot man cave that everybody would want in a garage. You know, some people want a gym, some people want a game room with a pool table, jukebox, arcade and such, and some people just want a lounge with a big TV and a fridge and stuff like that. And so that got put in my heart, and I wanted to give something to men to have like a second home where they could go to instead of going out somewhere, getting drunk and getting wild and do stupid shit, you know, like I used to do, and dry, you know. So almost like a safe haven, but like it's networking and socializing, all combined into one. You know what I mean? Nice,
great idea. I love it. It's you know, you have the brotherhood once again. We're always 100%. As men, we're always looking for camaraderie and brotherhood. 100%. And as you get older, sometimes it's a struggle to find it. So
because iron sharpens iron, man.
Exactly.
You know. It like when me and you first met, that's how it was. You know, we clicked for the mental health, you know, being advocates for it and wanting to make a difference. So, and we've been helping each other ever since, you know, and I'm seeing your growth. Proud of you as fuck, you know what I mean?
Thanks, brother, I appreciate it. Same here.
Super good seeing you follow your passion and your calling. More importantly, your calling.
Yeah, that's what I feel like it was. And Chris, what Chris was referring to is he and I met last year, I think it was last July, in Miami at a mental health seminar. We had several keynote speakers there, including John Mattingly, Travis Howes. Actually, I think those were the two main. There was a third that was not able to make it. And we actually bonded over crepes, which is shockingly we bonded over food in the back as we were scavenging, hunting for food as we do.
Oh yeah,
two savages. And we just started speaking. Chris reached out a couple months later, and we've become friends ever since. It's beautiful seeing us on our individual journeys. We're going to talk about Chris's, but again, my podcast is all about, it's what happened to me. I'm bringing ordinary people on this podcast to tell about the extraordinary things they've done with their lives, to give hope and inspire other first responder and veterans who are going through it, showing them that there's nothing special about any of us. You know, we've been at our lowest points, we've healed. You too can do the same exact thing, and that is exactly what I hope to do. I want to change with each episode at least one person's life, so let's get on with changing someone's life here, brother, because I'm sure we're going to do it. So let's, get the viewers, tell them a little bit about yourself, let them get to know you, where you're from, how was your childhood, siblings, how'd you grow up?
Wow, 48 years on this earth.
It goes fast.
Yeah, it does, man. Literally, man, I was born in New York, you know.
Yeah.
Hispanic, you know, background as well, you know, with some Irish in there, you know, and don't ask how that happened. And next thing,
I know how it happened.
Yeah. And then You know, I grew up, came down here from New York. Was about like 4.
Okay.
Somewhere around there, 5. I don't even, had to be about like 4. I truly don't remember.
Yeah.
And while being down here, we lived in like, not middle class, but like right below that housing, you know what I mean? In an apartment complex with my dad. And when my dad died when I was 10, I ended up moving into government housing because, you know, my mom didn't work at the time, so she would clean houses and things like that. And that was a rough upbringing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, you know, having no father figure around. I have an older brother who's almost 3.5 years older than me. And he's in law enforcement too. He's about to retire, thank God, and start the family life. So that's a good thing for him.
Nice.
So growing up, my only escape was like sports, you know, but I was still a wild.
Yeah, wild kid.
Because I had no
outlet.
no outlet, no guidance, no.
Yeah.
My mom would, you know, she would clean houses, so it was basically the streets raising me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
We get into trouble.
I was, put it this way, everybody that knows me would say when I told them I was a cop, they were like, "There's no way in hell you're a cop." I was bad. I was bad, and I'm not proud of that. But you know how it is. It takes a village to raise a tribe.
Yeah.
But when you have no village, you know what I mean, and you're out for yourself, you know, you got to raise yourself basically.
Yep.
So you're gonna go to what gravitates, what pulls you in, what accepts you, or what's the norm around there, and then also being an athlete and everything. It's like I almost had a chip on my shoulder. You know, that's why like now I look back and I admire the certain athletes that were super committed. I was freaking a great athlete, but you know, that thing you take your talent for granted.
Yeah.
And experimenting at that time with drugs and that attitude, you know, coming along with it. So
That's kind of all emanate from your father passing away so young? You kind of pissed off at the world?
Doing shadow work.
Yeah.
And inner shadow work, yeah, I discovered that. At first I didn't.
Right.
At first I didn't.
Of course,
at all.
yeah.
That's part of like growth, you know? which
Absolutely.
It only took me 46 and a half years to finally say, "Oop, oop, let me,"
Yeah.
you know?
Some people never get it.
And then, but the one thing I could say, which was like, I look back, I'm like, the weird thing, yes, I was a troublemaker and everything, you know, a wild child, but I hated bullies. Mm-hmm. And it's funny how it led to the career. Like, I just had like, you know, when you have those moments in life when you're just chilling and
Yeah.
then you're reflecting, because reflection is huge, you know, in the healing process. And yeah, I was a little wild child. Yeah, I was sometimes not the most obedient in school, rule breaker for no darn reason. But every time I would see like a smart kid, you know, people have a name for that. I call it smart kids. You know, skaters, rockers, things like that in high school. A lot of them I would see get bullied, even by my fellow teammates I played with. Because I was that kid, you know how normally jocks ate lunch with jocks and stuff like that and cheerleaders? I was when I ate lunch with everybody.
Yep.
You know, if you were cool, you know, you were nice to me, it was nice, you know, I was nice back. So when I would see somebody like my stature in high school, or, you know, somebody picking on like a weak person, knocking over the books, or just being a dick, you know what I mean? I would go up and be like, "Yo, why don't you pick on somebody your own size?" And
Nice.
9 out of 10 times it was like I ended up fighting.
Yeah.
You know, fighting them. And I went to 3 high schools, which leads to all this. And it was basically, I would get indoor suspension, CSI. And they wouldn't like expel me from school at that time, because literally when I would go up, you know, to the vice principal or whoever's dealing with the disciplinary action, the parent of the kid I was defending or teachers would actually say, no, Chris was actually defending, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, truthfully, even to this day, I don't know where that came from because I wasn't bullied. But I just didn't like seeing that, you know?
Yeah,
I saw
I
it
know
like
that
a
feeling.
sign of weakness. You know, why you gotta pick on this person? You know, they're not even doing nothing to you. So eventually you get into so many fights, you get kicked out of the school. Because what more can they do? You know what I mean? So then, literally when it came down to the third school, which was Braddock High School, I remember them going, the counselor there stating what was going in, they said, with my mother there, they said, perdón, which means, you know, excuse me to like my mother, and then looked at me and goes, if you fuck up, you're going to the MAC, which is MacArthur. And that was a known school where it's like all the trouble, like that
Yeah,
was like,
you don't
like,
want to be there.
Yeah, it's like school board juvenile, you know,
Yeah.
without being arrested. And I was like, nah, I don't want, because all you heard was horror stories, fights every day. So it was like, nah, I'm good. And then that's when I kind of like started backing down from like, you know, the fighting. I would go and if I saw a bullying thing going on, I did get in a couple fights, you know, defending, but then I found a way like almost like talking with like, hey man, stop, come on, stop.
Yeah, like de-escalating.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, it was graduation time and it was like, my mom goes, you're either gonna get a job or go to college. And college wasn't for me, man. College wasn't for me. I know it's, and I ended up going later in life to get my associates, but at that time it was no, I wasn't a studious kid and such, but
It's not for everyone. Nor should it be.
yeah, and I agree 100%. And it was just, it wasn't me. It wasn't in my cards at that time, and I ended up going to the military. I needed a job, so I ended up going to the military.
Any family in the military prior? Or this
My
was
father-
literally, oh, your dad was?
My father was. He was military intelligence. Then
What branch? Army? Okay.
The best branch.
The
I
only
got
branch,
love,
I'm sure.
I got love to all of you guys, man. You know, we
Clarify
all
that one.
served our country and we did it for a cause. So, but I got to go with the big mean green. You know what I mean? My dad was military intelligence. My brother ended up joining prior to me. He was already in the Army like a couple months. So
you literally weren't growing up with these aspirations. It was more.
no, man, I did
You had
not
no-
want to be a cop. I did not want to be a military. My brother all the time was like playing G.I. Joes and would kick my ass in it. Or play, you know, with the Army figures that are like that, you know, the plastic ones. So literally it was like, and man, there was a bad taste in your mouth. You know, when something's forced on you, come play. And then I remember playing, you know, we would play war outside, you know, with friends and all that stuff. And my brother wouldn't pick me, and I always want to be with my brother. And then he was like, oh no, but you know, we always would train and do little things, you know, playing. And then he goes, so you're the better qualified one. And man, that bitter taste, I was like, I'm not going to be in the military. Fuck that. Never less a cop. I was running from the cops. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so I ended up joining the military. So when I'm in the military, that's when I was very, 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 very fortunate to have two of my drill sergeants was Senior Drill Sergeant Wright and Drill Sergeant Powers. And Drill
Now, where you doing basic? Where is that held?
in Georgia, Fort Benning.
Fort Benning,
Home
yep.
of the infantry. And so my contract was for airborne infantry. So I just
And can you just tell the audience what that means about a contract?
what you sign up for your term of service and such, and what you enlist for to be your skill tree. You know what I mean? Some people go for mechanics and all that stuff. So mine was infantry, but with the designated airborne. So I want to jump out of planes. I want to, you know, that rush. So
Can imagine.
And that little extra pay helped.
Yeah.
But so I ended up joining, and then while going through boot camp, the two drill sergeants, Drill Sergeant Powers was SF, you know, Special Forces. And Senior Drill Sergeant Wright was Ranger. He was a Ranger, and he was an RI, a Ranger instructor, and those guys there, it was like the epitome of like, ooh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they like, while you're going through your training, you know, meeting like the guidelines that they have to teach you, per se, you know what I
qualifications
mean?
or whatever.
The qualifications and like check the block stuff. They would, when we would go to the FTX, you know, field training exercise, they'd also teach other things. So it made you like, wow. And then I remember Senior Drill Sergeant Wright, tall, Caucasian man, like almost like whitish, but his eyes were like that blue-white scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he had a voice like this, like a scary-ass voice, man. And I remember, you know, in PT, I was always like one of the top 3 running. Rucking, boom, I was a mule. Just everything. And then I remember once he told me, he's like, you need to kick the street out of you. You'd be such a good soldier. You have so much potential, but you just need to get rid of that in you, you know? And
what were you doing to make him say that?
man, it was like, I can honestly say, even though playing in sports and everything, I wasn't such a team player at the time. I did my thing, and that was it. Because remember, I had no intentions on wanting to be a soldier. And literally when hearing that, and you don't even have a father figure in your life, so you're hearing that encouragement, it made a difference.
Yeah, meant a lot to you.
You know, so I ended up becoming a team player, and literally actually enjoyed it. And that was, I guess, like my first introduction or like wake-up call of a brotherhood. Mm-hmm. You know, and I remember them saying, because when you're infantry, you get a blue cord.
Okay.
And in the Army, you'll have, when people graduate and they graduate their AIT and all that stuff, their tech schools, whatever the heck other branches would call it, or, you know, for us it was our MOS. Literally, we had the blue cord, so it's like a identifier. Mm-hmm. And that meant, like, the way they taught us, it was like, it meant something. And you're walking with that, and it's like, I got my blue cord.
Yeah, prideful.
And yeah, and then from there I ended up going to my duty station, which was the 82nd Airborne.
Okay. And what year is this now, Chris?
That was 99.
Okay.
That was 99. I stand corrected, it was 95.
95.
95, I got out in 99.
All right.
And so I get in, and then next thing you know, I'm there, and I'm with, you know, the Airborne Infantry Unit, and going through everything, and next thing you know, it was like brought to the attention that, look, here's this guy, team player, you know, and they call it a PT stud when you score high on your PT. You know, you go on the ruck marches, and, you know, you're hanging with everybody, you know, and I've learned from basic, just taking what Drill Sergeant Wright put in my head about being, you know, team player and brotherhood and stuff, where it was like, I remember just, because weapon squad, that's the, you know, like then the M60, then they convert to 240 Bravo, you know, the big gun. Mm-hmm. They would have to carry like a lot of the ammo.
Right.
And you got the other guy, the AG, assistant gunner, and they'll carry the tripod. And then you got the gunner, right, who's carrying the pig. So there's still a lot of load, plus what you're going to carry to the field. So I would just be like, hey, look, man, stack me up, man, I'll help you, you know? And even though I wasn't even on, you know, on the gun team or the weapon squad, what they call it. And so next thing you know, I end up, you know, people talk, you know, things go around, and then they had, when we go to the field, we would be with, like, the whole, like, battalion and all that stuff. You'd have scouts, right? And they're with HHC element, headquarters element. And some people call the scouts the prima donnas and such. But I was always like, wow, because when we would go to the field, you have to have EIB standard, you know, makeup pattern, you know, camo pattern, which is, you know, go up, down, across right here. And you have to wear your freaking dome of obedience. You know what I mean? Your K-pop.
That's great.
And next thing you know, I'm seeing these guys with boonie caps. I'm seeing them with like that tiger stripe in their face. And it's just like, they're wearing ghillie suits out there. And I'm just like, holy shit, who are they? And those are the Sprouts. Instead of Scouts, they would call them the Sprouts, you know? So I was like, oh shit. And then when you work alongside them and stuff like that, and they see, shit, this guy's a team player, people know it. And then they had a tryout. And then I was told, hey, you know, when the platoon sergeant tells you, hey, you might want to try out, consider trying out. That's like it's a good, like, hey, wake up, this is the opportunity. You're being looked at. So I ended up trying out. I made it. And that was my first taste of being in something special, you know? And then shortly after, when you're with the Scouts, they're gonna send you to Ranger School. So then,
so it's actually like a step in between being an infantryman and a ranger.
Yeah. See, you have Ranger Battalion, and then you got Ranger qualification. You know, you go to Ranger School, you graduate Ranger School. So, but in the Scouts, you're gonna go to Ranger School, especially in your active duty component. I don't know how a reserve component is with the infantry. I don't know at all with that. I know my brother. He was in the National Guard with infantry, and he didn't like how it was.
Oh yeah.
He went from active duty to there, and then so matter of time once they feel you're ready and such, then they'll send you to Ranger School. So went there, and let me tell you that was my first, like, that was my gut check, man.
Oh yeah.
That's
kicking the ass, I'm assuming.
Yeah. And it's funny because you'll see people of all shapes and sizes going in there.
Yeah.
And what I learned was it doesn't matter how big you are. It don't matter how fast you are. It don't matter how many push-ups or whatever you could do. Your strongest thing that you could possess is your mind, man. Because I don't think there's anybody that went to Ranger School that could say the whole course that quit and didn't cross their mind at least once. You know?
And what got you through it personally?
My brother.
Yeah?
Because it's like just sticking in his face. I mean, just being honest, because he was always like watching, you know, the movies Navy SEAL. He was always watching all that stuff.
Yep.
And he wanted to do that, but he got fucked on his contract. So he actually helped me. He would make sure you get airborne in your contract.
Yeah.
So I thank him there, but it was more like, you know, I'm a do this. And then it wasn't for him. I love you if you're watching this, bro. But it wasn't for him. What it was basically, I remember him telling me, he would say, like when I was going through a course, he even said this with SWAT. When I went through SWAT, this is years later, he goes, bro, even if you don't make it, at least you tried. What is that shit? You know, my ma used to always tell us, it's all in your mind. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You don't quit. You know?
Yeah.
And just knowing that, you know, he never got, he was out at Fort Hood. He said, I never got offered, you know, an opportunity to go to Ranger School. I'm like, did you ever ask? You know, squeaky wheel gets the grease, right?
Hell yeah.
And if you're a hard charger, as we would call them, they're going to notice that.
Yeah.
So I just, like I said, I remember when I was telling them, hey man, they're gonna slot me for Ranger School. It was like, oh, well, that's good. But like, I don't give a shit to him. He goes, that's good. Just know, hey, if you don't make it, at least tried. Hell no, man. It was like, I remember when I went to SWAT school, telling people that I would help, because I already graduated SWAT school, telling them, look, man, you go there, bro, you the water confidence, bro, you fucking drown. You make them medically get you out. Mm-hmm. Quitting's not an option.
Yeah.
Especially from your brother, and then my mom bringing us up a certain way. And then when I graduated, didn't even go to the graduation.
Really?
He didn't even, congratulations, oh shit, bro, my brother did this. None of that, man. And so yeah.
I guess the way you're speaking about it now.
It really was more of a, that was my, like you said, my motivation, but also it was like, you have an opportunity, man. And then the way I was told from prior, Ranger School graduates that they told me, like with the scouts, they told me, bro, just remember, man, there's only 24 hours in a day, brother. Get through one day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta fucking fall asleep on a patrol. You gotta fuck up. You gotta get smoked.
Oh yeah.
You gotta starve.
Yeah.
You gotta starve. But remember, the course doesn't last forever.
Yeah, exactly.
And just hearing those from the brothers, like, hey, you can fucking do this, man. It's just on your fucking mind.
Yep.
You know what I mean? How bad do you want it? And when you're seeing freaking guys that are like stacked, ripped, quit, you're like, holy shit. But then you would look over and then you see a dude like, I'm 6 foot, 195 right now. And you see a guy like 5'6", 5'7", $150 soaked. And you can see he's sucking, he's walking, we're doing a ruck march and his head's like this, but that motherfucker's not stopping.
Exactly.
And it's just like, he could do it, I could fucking do it. He could do it, I could fucking do it.
Mm-hmm.
And, they instill in there, the Ranger Buddy concept, which is brotherhood.
Yeah.
In all reality, it's like, you gotta depend on your Ranger Buddy, man. You don't need your fucking buddy behind, man, you know what I mean? Things like that. So you get through it together. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And then as, you go from one phase to the next phase, the class is dwindling, the bond even gets more tighter.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And now it's
Shared
like,
misery.
you got a guy, man, bro, I'm done, man. I can't go. I'm exhausted. Man, I'm good, bro. Man, I made it this far, bro. That's not kind of, nah, man, you're going to fucking finish this. We're going to finish this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't make it, I'm not going to make it. Saying things like that to each other, to say each other out. I thought I was going to make it no matter what, because I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to let my brother, first of all, get himself and say, hey, man, at least you tried. You know what I'm saying? But, and then, yeah, a prideful thing, too, to accomplish that. But it was like, you have to find what gets a person to go.
Yeah.
To keep going.
Yeah, motivated.
And when it's like, if you're telling somebody, am I right, in police work, if you tell somebody, well, I don't know about you, but I'm going to make it. It's not helping that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize this now. Back then, I didn't realize. It was just that concept, man, about instilling the Ranger Buddy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where the fuck's your Ranger Buddy? That kind of stuff. So basically, it was like, you're going to make it. We're going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause without you, I'm not going to make this, bro. Because the class size already dwindling the fuck down.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what'd you guys start out with class-wise?
Bro, shit ton, bro. It was like, started with like a 300 class, man.
And what'd you finish with?
Like $1 something.
So about half?
Yeah.
Or less?
Yeah.
And then how long is the course itself?
Well, bro, you have 3 phases, We have, first you got bending phase, right? Then after that, you have, then you got mountain phase. After mountain phase, you got Florida phase. By Florida phase, we're all fucking dead. Everybody's dead. You're like a zombie, bro. I remember one time, we're doing the patrol, and I had my nods on, right? Night vision. And I was walking, and then all of a sudden, the cat eyes on the back of the helmets,
yeah.
And stuff like that. And then, or the PC, sometimes with the patrol craps, so you have the cat eyes. And then you're walking, so those illuminate in the dark. Bro, one time I'm walking, and then I'm going this way, and then I hear, where the fuck you going? I found one of them grow bugs. it looked just like that, and then you're like half dead asleep.
Yeah.
Because you went like fucking, you're like almost a day and a half without sleep.
Ooh.
And it's like
hallucinating.
Yes, brother. The shit is real.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, just good times, funny things, man. But I remember things like that because, like I said, when you're in Florida, that's the final fucking phase.
Uh-huh.
So, and then I remember, man, this one fucking cat stood out, man, where, mind you, you make it through these phases. This guy fucking fell at night because remember, knives, they don't have the depth perception. So this guy go and stepped, and mind you, you have those heavy ass rocks.
Yeah.
And he just went this way while the legs still like that. And they were like, you know, what do you want to do, Ranger? You know what I'm saying? You want to get out? Mm-hmm. And all that? And he was like, no, I'm not doing this shit all over. Dude, the motherfucker got freaking, we call it duct tape. He got 100-mile-an-hour tape. Fwah! Take that up, bro, and we just kept on. We lightened his load. You know what I mean? We spread out the load, and he still kept trucking. And we're like, yo, Timo, he goes, no, man, no. Can't let you guys do it all on your own. You know what I mean? Like, he still wanted to hold his own.
Nice.
And fucking me, that's hard.
Hell
that's
yeah. Did he break it?
Huh?
Did he break it?
I did it was like a severe strain. I know once graduated, once everything was called, and then after peer evals at the end, because you do peer evals,
Yep.
like, yo, this guy's a piece of shit. What am I working with him and all this stuff? He literally, he made it, brother.
It's awesome. That's
Just
what you want to be
that
with.
alone, because what happens if you're in the shit?
Yeah.
Shit happens when you're in the shit, man. And then
Hell yeah. You got to be in the shit. It's just a matter of time when.
And then next thing you know, it's like that's the guy you want. It's not gonna quit on you.
Hell yeah.
But also, he felt bad, or he felt a sense of, I still gotta hold my own. You know what I mean? Like, guys, thanks for taking this. Helping taking some of the shit out of my ruck.
Yep.
And carrying it. Help carrying the load. But I still gotta hold my own too. Some people are freaking shitbags, man. They'll be like,
yeah.
oh yeah, here, take. Oh, what about this?
Yeah. They're entitled to
There you go.
guys doing their work for them.
And no, man. So like I said, when you see these things going on, when you see these kind of people, it's fucking.
Oh, it's inspiring.
Yeah, man.
That's a cat you want to be next to. There's no doubt about it.
And then after that, end up getting out of the military, and then I get out of the military. I was working at
99?
99.
Okay.
I'm glad you're tracking. I'm out. I'm working at a gym. And then I'm ended up going to have a son who's now 25 years old. And I'm like, shit. The fuck? What am I going to do? I was living the dream and we're working at a gym, but not living the dream money. I'm making $9 an hour. But what about benefits? What about this life I got to support? What about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, some serious questions.
So I'm over there trying to figure out what to do. So what's the natural result? Shit, man, fuck, I'm just going to go back in the fucking military, right? That's what I know. What I was good at. And then dude at the gym tells me about Hialeah Police. I never heard of Hialeah. I've been down south my whole life. And then I'm like, where the hell is that, Broward County? And it's not, it's actually in Dade County. Hialeah's like its own little country, man. We call that little Cuba.
Oh,
you know? And, I go to apply and talk about fate. Mind you, I didn't want to be a fucking cop. But I'm having a
Life's
kid.
calling, yeah.
Life, exactly. So I go apply. What are the fucking chances that the guy who was there, who was covering, he was a background investigator, but he was covering for, I guess, the receptionist there. And he goes, and I bring him my DD-214 and all that stuff, with the military history, stuff like that. And he goes, oh, you're military? I go, yeah. He goes, oh, me too. I go, really? And then he goes, yeah, I was MI. And, we used to call them MI weenies. And then he goes, yeah, I heard that before, da-da-da. But my dad was MI, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But he goes like this, bro. He goes, boom, 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 da, 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 stand like notary and shit like that. He goes, bring this to me tomorrow. Okay, Roger. I bring it, checks it, the PHQ, the person history questionnaire for police. That fucking fat, bring it to me tomorrow. So I'm there. You gotta think of all your shit. Thank God it was just military. But now you're thinking about, where did you live? And remember, in the military, you got the barracks. Then after that, I ended up living off post. I'm trying to remember all this shit.
Oh, yeah.
Address.
No, that's a lot.
I find all that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when police were, they're going to do your background. They're going to fucking do your background.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's all going on. I'm struggling overnight to get all this shit information. Then you got to list, you know, references. So I'm calling up guys from, you know, from military. I'm like, hey, bro, can I use that reference? Shit like that. Letter of recommendations. Neighbors, hey, can you do this? Yes. Character references, you know.
Yep.
She goes, bring this shit to me tomorrow. I'm like, what the fuck? But I didn't know how the process was.
Yeah.
And so I bring it the next day, as he told me. You know, okay, you got everything. Boom, boom. It's called. You have your psychological 2 days from now.
Damn.
Long story short, I end up being high the whole process in 3 weeks. You know that shit's unheard of.
No, that's crazy.
Mind you, I never want to be a cop. Talk
Yeah.
about like this is why I believe destiny. So, but everything is done, and then he goes, our class is full. You know, for the academy who they're sending,
Yep.
it's full. You're the next class up. And I think it was going to be in like 3 months or something, you know, because they start a class midway, you know, so they
Yeah.
start the other pipeline.
You guys don't have your own academy, right?
So-
You go into others?
No, I went to
someone else's?
Miami-Dade North College.
Okay.
And he says, he goes, just don't get in any trouble. No tickets. You know how that is. So I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm like, all right, cool. But at least I know I'm slotted.
Yeah.
Shit you not. A week later, I get a call. Hey, Sergeant in the background wants you to come in. Everything good? She wants to talk to you. That voice. What are you thinking? You have no work experience as a cop. You're like, oh shit. Now, as I'm driving there, I'm thinking, bro, did I leave something out on my PHQ? You know? Just everything I'm processing,
Oh,
you know
of
what I'm
course.
saying?
What did I do that I
Yeah,
forgot
what
about?
did I fuck up on?
Yep.
And then I get there, and then everybody has this face, like, looking at me, like the background investigators in there. Because when I get there, I'm like, yeah, I'm here for talk to Sergeant Arcano. And then, okay. So then it ends up, and then he goes, he's over there. Like, just that calm.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh, okay. My heart fucking pounding. I'm like, oh, shit. I go there, and then she looks and she goes, how bad do you want to be a cop? So, yeah, I lied. Really bad. That's all I ever wanted to be. Like, total
So I walked
opposite.
in his door
Bro, if
tonight.
they put me on a lie detector, then I would
Yeah.
have failed that shit. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
And,
I thought I did anyway.
yeah. So I say that, and then she goes, because we had one guy back out. She gives me the cheat sheet, the uniform cheat sheet. She
Yep.
goes, you need to go lose police supply, this. Get it done, because you start the academy on Monday. So I didn't even have to wait.
Nice.
It was like divine appointment, man. And then I'm like, oh shit. So now, mind you, rushing the application, now this, but neither am I, because hey, fuck, I got this.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna be getting
So this is
paid.
3 weeks from initial application to you starting the academy.
Yes.
Holy shit.
So going in, I'm getting all my shit. They're bringing the belt. What size shirt you wear? And I'm like, I'm fucking wild at all this shit now.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this shit's really happening, you know? And I'm feeling at that moment, I'm feeling okay, I can provide. Because police work is a career, it's not a job.
Yeah.
It's a career, you know? And mind you, I went 3 weeks, and I've heard of people that process takes 4 months, 6 months, sometimes even a year. Why me? How did I get lucky? You know what I mean? So I'm going through, I passed the academy, all that shit. And then, funny thing too, I had, out of the instructors, the cadres we have, there was one who was cool as hell. He was like the department training, in charge of like training.
Yeah.
But he was an officer, so there was one over him. But he was like running everything, Ralph. And then my 2 instructors, lead for our class, because you have other instructors while you're going through legal and all that other shit. They were both on the Hialeah SWAT team. One was
really?
One was sergeant, and the other one was an officer. So talk about, remember the military.
Yeah.
And this. And it's like, but you don't realize this shit at that point. You realize this later, like when we're conscious, when we're awake, you know what I mean? How destiny had a purpose.
Yep.
So I end up seeing that, and I'm like, oh shit, wow, this SWAT shit's pretty cool. Seeing all that there, and then so I graduate the academy. Then I'm at Hialeah. I'm seeing the SWAT guys. I'm like, holy shit, all this stuff, and then believe it or not, man, it probably FTO was hard as fuck, man.
Oh yeah.
Hard as fuck. It's old school mentality, bro. It was like you get on a scene, and they were like, okay, you got the information? Yeah. Okay. Boom, boom. And route to this other call, handle it. And I'm like, I didn't even attempt to report. But you know what? I thank them now. I thank them when I graduate, when I passed FTO, when I was on my own.
Yeah.
Because if you got nursed, if you got babied during the process, dude, it's sink or swim, man.
Mm-hmm.
So all that pressure, here, report, and you're backed up on reports. Guess what happens when we're cut loose? Now we control the pace.
Oh yeah.
We're used to that high volume boom. Now all of a sudden, shit, I'm on my own. I don't have to go, oh shit, show me 09, show me right to that call to handle. No, I finish my report on file 09. Unless shit's hitting the fan and we're busy.
Yep.
We got to hump. I'll do that report later. I'll do the report on my lunch, like the way we did in FTO.
Yeah.
So I thank those, those FTOs for that.
Yeah.
You know what
There's
I mean?
some good FTOs out there.
Yeah.
They make a world of difference in someone's career.
And especially the old school ones, man.
Hell yeah.
I remember when you'd go to arrest a person, probably this was like with you, where it was like, you're going to go arrest them, and then the guy's combative, and they were like telling the other cops there on the scene, like, no, wait, because they want to see if you can hold your own.
Yeah. I was doing field training in Zone 1 in Atlanta, and I was a guy named Brown, black guy, jacked, and we got in a pursuit. I think it was a stolen car, guy bails. We're on him. He falls, and I could see he just backed up. I saw it out of the corner of my eye, he backed up, man. I was handling it. And, I held him down by his neck, cuffed him out pretty quick. He's a big boy, too. And, got him done. And I could see he was like, oh, good job. You have to see what you got. You're going to go hands-on. You're going to be a punk.
Exactly.
It's time to shine, or they want to see who they have. And listen, man, you voluntarily join this profession. It's a very, very violent profession. If you're not able to handle yourself,
that's a fact, man.
You need to figure that out, too.
And, but also, just like you said, they want to know who they could trust going in. You get
Rightly so.
You get on a scene, and you have that, the people have that confidence because they know how you are on scenes and working, they say, okay, boom, I don't need nobody. But I've been on scenes, you probably as well, and I know a bunch of you cops that are probably watching the same, where you've been on a scene, and then you got that scaredy cat, that pussy. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You have that guy there, and they dispatch you and him. He's your backup. I got on the radio, and I was like, send me another 15. 15 is a backup.
Yeah.
Send me another 15. No shame in my game, because I'm going home at the end of the shift.
Oh, yeah.
That's the unwritten rule. Remember, we don't go hungry, we don't get wet, and we all go home at the end of the shift.
And it should be humiliating to those guys. In my career, I asked 3 different dudes, I told that if it went down between me and the perp, do not get involved. I'll handle it. Do not jump in. I did not want them in any way, shape, or form getting involved. And you think that it would humiliate you enough to where you go do something about it, learn how to fight, get in the gym, start
man.
training. Because I basically just called you a pussy without calling you a pussy, and I don't trust you. But none of the 3 that I'm aware of ever did anything to, correct that situation. But it's on them.
That's character fit in them. And it's sad because lives are on the line, brother. Lives are on the line.
Hell
I don't know
yeah.
about you, but I couldn't. If I stood by and saw a coworker, a zone partner, or even somebody, whenever I worked, a civilian or somebody, get hurt and I didn't take action, nevertheless, if not take action because of cowardice,
No,
I wouldn't be able to look myself in the
no
fucking
way.
mirror,
It
man.
would never happen.
You know?
Never happened. I would die before that.
And I remember, man, we would have, there's certain officers, and some ended up even being sergeants now. And this is my second department. I honestly, I have nothing bad to say about that department. It was phenomenal. I left to go to Miami Gardens for the money. Mm-hmm. They were just forming the agency. So one, I wanted to be part of something new and that growth. You know, I'm part of something that's original.
Yeah.
That opportunity. And then the money. Literally, from a maxed out officer pay where I was to making the equivalent of what a lieutenant at Hialeah was making.
Damn.
To go over. And a take home car, because we didn't have take homes in Hialeah at that time.
Yeah, that's huge.
You know, and the FRS Florida retirement system, which is the multiplier.
Yeah.
Which is
Was
your
that drop
highest
system? Is that what it's called too in Florida?
They implemented the drop now, but no, the FRS has your high five, which is the highest gross in 5 years, is what they calculate. So man, I mean, you can't beat that compared to a set city.
Oh yeah.
position.
Yeah, it's not even close.
So the totality. So I went, and remember we were talking before we did this interview how like police were changed so much, and Hialeah instilled that old school blue blood. We would have choir practice, bro, at the end of the shifts. You know, the old school where you get together, drink right at the end, and talk about the shift and just bond. It was a fucking brotherhood, man.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely, 100%.
I get to this agency and literally only like maybe 25% of the officers had that mentality. The other ones were like, it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
And
That's just funny. That's my career mirrored yours in that Atlanta was hardcore cops that I work with. And it's funny, man, I say this all the time, every man in the world could experience working next to dudes who will kill or die for you, and you would do the same. Like, there's no other feeling. Can't be replicated. It's just there. And it's the greatest feeling in the world, man, knowing you with these hardcore. And there's been a couple of girls that have been, I would, put in front of me in situations, I'd be in front of them, but you know what I'm saying. And then I went to Suffolk County, which is a great job. Quality of life is so much better. Salary so much better, but you got a lot of people to take this job because it's a high-paying job, not because it's police work.
Exactly.
And it's a totally different mentality in many respects with the cops that I work with. So, yeah, I definitely had missed Atlanta's brotherhood when I got to Suffolk County. Not to say it's not a brotherhood in and of itself, but when you are in the shit, man, in the most violent parts of America working with these guys, and literally you're in deadly situations, and you see these guys, they're willing to sacrifice themselves for you, and you do the same for them. There's no other feeling in the world that can replicate
you know
that.
how it is? Because you hear them, you know them, you're working with them.
Yeah.
You're with them more than you are with your family. Mm-hmm. And then you just know something's up when you hear it in their voice over the radio. You're like, yo, this ain't, he don't sound right. That's right. Or the guy that never asked for a 15, and now he's asking for a 15.
Oh, yeah.
That's the whole city going.
You know, some cats are asking for another car, man. There's some deep, bad shit going down right then.
And Miami Gardens is also known as Murder Gardens. So it was like, and you would figure it was like, okay, everybody's starting new, want to be part of this big thing, teamwork. And like I said, 25% about was like, you could still see had that old school blue blood mentality, like they're not out for themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I guess some people saw it as, okay, I'm coming here to seize opportunity and I don't give a fuck who, whatever, I just want to climb up the ranks. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Or some people came for the money. I came for the money and cause something new. And then you had the other people that come because why? They were running from their department because they were shitbirds or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and there were things like we were just talking about, like the calls on weak people, and some of them were sergeants now. And I went down, I think last time I was probably a captain, where it was like, there was a 3 call, it's emergency. So there was one going out, officer goes 315. That means he's calling for the backup emergency, like, I need people. And this guy is like, you might like me. He's a hard charger. He's like, he can handle his own and then some. And when he called it, brother, I crap you not, bro. Remember running the 3 cars there. The world is coming. You have a guy get on the radio to do a traffic stop. And then on other calls, run into 3 cars. Pass him, and his car wasn't even moving.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Seen that before.
You're scared.
Yeah.
But now this is a guy that's in charge.
Yep.
You
Hey, a
know?
lot of them do take these
And
promotional
since a
exams to get off the
since
street,
a
man.
And since a yes man, guess what? Climbing the ranks.
Oh, yeah.
Because Hialeah wasn't like that. Hialeah wasn't about no yes man. And that's what I loved about it. You know what I mean? Over there, at least the last administration, because I'll tell you, the first chief was awesome, right? And then also when we had, Chief Brooklyn, he was awesome. He was awesome. And then the other chiefs, not so good, but this last one, there's a reason why she's in the papers. I'll leave it at that. You be a leader, you're there for your troops, man. You're there for your people.
Supposed to be.
And I will not knock Miami Gardens Department, I won't, because you do got some great leadership there. You do. And you have some that need to be promoted to leadership, like some good sergeants that should be. And then you have, they don't have lieutenant, they have sergeant, captain, major, and then captain, then they have commander position, then a major, and then they have like gazillion chiefs for a small department.
Yeah, it's amazing. A little top heavy.
Yeah. And there is some good leadership there. I don't want to take that away from them. But majority, and especially the one that should set the example of the department, top cop, right? And I say all that because, hence bring it to the mental health journey. Nothing, bro. Even my exit interview.
Yeah, it's unfortunately
And,
true but sad.
So, I ended up falling in love with police work from not wanting it. About a year into my job with Hialeah, man. I've chasing, running people down, and guys backing you up, and then, when officer of the month and officer of the quarter, it was like, holy shit, it was just, and then you're around these guys that are freaking amazing cops and amazing people, And, brother, when I went to this place, first you have the high hopes, you're doing it, you're doing what you do, and then the 2 good chiefs during my time there that I had, the 2 good ones, it made work fun, And then it was the other ones, and then it was towards the end where everything you see, right, throughout your career, and you're working 2 busy cities, and then one, aka Murder Gardens now, shootings every day, bro, day shift and night. There's no night, it's only at night, no.
Yeah.
And then, like, seeing all this shit. Even at Hialeah, seeing all this stuff, man. I've seen people blow their head off in front of me. I've seen freaking hangings. I've seen people sprayed up. Decapitated heads. Kids. And what do we do as cops?
Very.
Supervisor comes up and goes, "Hey, Mike, you good?" What are you going to say?
Oh, you good. Always good.
Right?
Good,
You see-
boss.
And the way, and when they say it like that, right, we always say it like, "I'm good, boss." That look, we're not good.
Oh, yeah.
But they don't want to deal with paperwork. They don't want to do, you know what I mean? That's why when I go talk to departments now and such, I always preach, it ain't just that one thing, follow up that way. You dot your I and cross your T. You got to follow up. Road dogs, your road buddies, squad partners, whatever the fuck you want to call them, they need a checkup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I remember the one, it's like, you've been working with this guy forever. What do you know about him? Things like that. But also, when something ain't good, talk to him. you know? And then check up on, especially after critical incidents, you know that.
Oh, yeah.
It's follow up. But we didn't do that because we weren't trained that. But guess what? We also were scared to open up because we didn't want to get put on light duty. We didn't want to get relieved of duty. Or we didn't want to put unfit for duty. Heaven forbid they said to a psychologist, yeah, we're fucked up in the head for the shit we've seen. And that bookworm who got their degree never seen the shit that we've seen.
Oh, yeah.
The shit that you experienced with that kid.
Yeah.
They didn't see that shit. But yeah, they're going to determine your fate in your career. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Women even have it, in my opinion, have it worse in law enforcement. Because first they got to prove themselves, right? To be amongst pro-man dominated profession, right?
Absolutely.
So now they're proving themselves there. So now if a woman comes and says, because I realize this all after going through my shit, that if they say, if us as a man find it hard to open up because fear of all that other stuff, fear of being weak, fear of being labeled, fear of losing our job, whatever the case, that we compartmentalize it, imagine what they're thinking.
Oh, yeah.
They already had to prove that they could graduate FTO. They already proved that they, could hold their own, that they're not going to be canceled on a backup, that they're like, oh, I got her. Yo, we good.
Yeah.
What you going to do with her? Bro, you'll be lucky if you get me because she's worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's going to freaking hit you with a radio. I've been with some tough freaking cops, bro, and thank God I had women like that.
Yeah.
On my side. But then again, I've been with other ones that haven't cut the grade. But I've been with a lot of guys, like the ones I talked to, that didn't cut the grade. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So here, all this is going on, brother. And all of a sudden, then, my life, everything starts coming out. Tipping points. And I remember
Anything that started it, or just the collective weight?
I never, or maybe it was denial of PTSD. Nobody wants to be branded. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to be branded damaged either. And,
Hell no.
And knowing that it's in the mind, I'm too strong to have that, right? Mm-hmm. That's what we think.
Oh, we used to always think. I was talking to Jimmy Watson about this. He's a former SEAL. And he's like, years ago, early in my career, I always thought that PTSD was only for the weak-minded. I said, me too, bro. And, it's many misconceptions about PTSD. And one of mine was that I always thought that it was only caused by seeing your brother or sister next to you get blown away. But mine ended up kind of manifesting itself by being inside the most devastatingly intimate moments of other people's lives over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
Bro.
And never dealing with anything that you see.
And that's the thing, bro. It's like, I remember I could go through scenarios after scenarios of calls I've been on, man. And like an early one was when a kid died. But it was like a normal call, whatever. And my son was the same age. I just remember going home and holding him, being grateful. Because remember, when we go to those death scenes, we have to take the jewelry off and we have to inspect the body for foul play, right? Procedure. But when it's a kid, and I was new to this shit in the job. And then my tipping point, years later, was a kid. It was the third floor. It was the end of my shift, bro. He hung himself off a balcony with, those VIP like lanyard type things, work lanyards. So that shit was in his neck. And I remember getting this end of my shift. We don't want alcohol. I get it. And I remember just seeing this body just dead from the third floor. Man, I fucking hauled ass up the stairs. And I go and I grabbed the kid and just like yanked the body, just that adrenaline rush, over the freaking rail. And when I tell you this kid looked, it could have been my son. Mm-hmm. That's all I saw. I just remember working. And then rescue, I see rescue fucking get there, and they're just walking up the stairs. I'm not knocking rescue, brother, but they're walking up, and I'm just like, get the fuck up here. And then my partner that showed up on the scene, right? He was a paramedic EMT prior to. He's like, he's gone, Chris. I'm like, no. And all I could see was my son. That's all I could see. The age, the look. And that was the first time that when I get in my car, my friend Brian, and I thank him for this. I do, Brian. If you see this, I thank you. He goes, bro, you're not leaving. Just sit here. Sit in the car. He wouldn't let me leave.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no follow-up. There was no, and people saw I was, that impacted me. That was that tipping point, man. That was all the shootings. That was all the shit I've seen, shit I've done. And it just, a cup could only be filled to the rim, right?
Yep.
So, meditation works, bro, right? Breath works.
Yeah.
So, that was a downhill turn. And then I started, before that, I was unfaithful, you know, in the marriage, and but then I ended up linking up with this, after that I ended up linking up with this person. And then it ended up being just bad, man. God, when you don't get help, you find ways to get those endorphin escapes.
Oh, yeah.
So I was partying. It was drinking. And it was drugs. And drugs being cocaine. Because it's out of your system in 3 days, supposedly. And
So it was just kind of dulling the pain, everything else you were
that's all I
feeling?
was doing, bro.
Just escape.
And then it got to a point, just towards the end of my career, where she was 16 at the time. She actually turns 18 this week, the baby. She tried taking her life with drugs. And I remember her telling me, I had left and moved in with another woman and everything, with that person. And she goes, you're a good protector and a provider, but you're a shitty father and a shitty husband. Having your kid tell you that, call you that. And if it wasn't true, I wouldn't have felt it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was true. And then I remember that's when I just get on. And I remember taking my sig. And Larry just, I felt like I was a shitty father, shitty husband. I was shitty. And then I was like, okay, at least let me do something right, Mike. At least let me leave him my pension, right? Life insurance, all that stuff. Let me do something right. And that's not the right thing to do, brother. That's not. That's not.
No.
And when you're not in the right state.
Yeah. You probably thought you were a burden, right? At that time?
100%.
Meanwhile, if you
They'll
do
be
that, you
better
put
off
that
without
burden
me.
on them for the rest of their
Better off
lives.
without me, and that's what I realized. But I'm there, and you know they ain't no. You pull, it's done. You know, it's not a rush
coming back
roulette.
from that shit.
I remember, and thank God, you know, the SIG P226 Tech Ops, it has the heavy trigger pull. Thank God for that, because as I'm doing that, she popped in my head. I know she's such a good girl, a sensitive girl. She'd blame herself for saying it. And that was my why to live. That was my why to fucking not take my life. And that's why, just like you said, man, it's not the people the people you leave behind are the ones that suffer. Mm-hmm. And thank God that resonated there. And I wish the happy story ended there. Still the drug abuse, bro. Because now I gotta mask this shit somehow, right? I gotta cope with it. So, I remember sending an email, like I told you, to the department, and they never responded. And policy states that you will read your email, start of shift and end of shift on your duty days. Because Lord knows they were trying to fucking write me up on shit. Somebody from the powers that be told the sergeant, and me and that sergeant were good, fucking cool as fuck. And I'll tell you this. I remember getting my yearly evaluation, and it was shitty. And I never had that. And I'm like, it made no sense. And I remember talking to another officer, because I was so fucking pissed that day, bro. And I go, yo, this. And then he's like, what's going on? And I was like, bro, you believe this shit? Sergeant so-and-so, and he goes, you ain't hear this shit from me, or I won't tell you this shit. You know how we do.
Yeah.
You know? He goes, that wasn't from him. I don't want to say the sergeant's name, bro. But if you ever see this, bro, you're a weak sergeant for doing this, and you know you are. Because your job was to protect your guys.
Yeah.
Because as a supervisor, if you're fucking up, don't you get corrective measures? There was never did anything.
So you just never came
I
to
would
you
even tell him.
ask you how you're doing, nothing?
Never. I would even ask him. This is prior to all this. I would even ask him, because they tried to jam me up once, and then obviously it didn't work. They violated my HIPAA. I had FMLA for the gastric reasons. And then they tried to, for calling out excessive, bro, it was so bad. That would call out and they over the use of time, so they try to get rid of me. And obviously that didn't go through.
Yeah.
So literally almost 1 year to the date, they tried again back. And then when I got reinstated back, that same sergeant, who I thought was cool with, I would always say, how am I doing? He goes, man, you're doing good. They're asking for daily evaluation on your daily checkups on you. They want to know, and they want me to document if anything. I go, how am I doing? Bro, you're doing great, bro. You're doing good. I never got a report rejected. None of that. All of a sudden, now my yearly evaluation says report writing issues. It's like, so then the one person that was a mutual, friend, said that didn't come from him. That came from upper target. Maybe because he couldn't get rid of me before. And you know how departments do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, policy this. I remember I wouldn't activate my camera sometimes. I forget, you get on a hot scene. Are you going to remember to turn the camera on?
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm going to go at the fucking bad guy.
Yeah.
Right? So, or you go on a scene, you show up, it's an alarm call. Then sometimes that could end up being a burger or whatever, right? But you're there, you just check. And then normally they wouldn't mess with, but then, you didn't put your activate. They would look for petty shit.
If they're looking for you, man, they're going to find.
They give me a 5-day suspension for not activating the camera.
Really?
First time. Remember, we have a contract that states progressive discipline. There was no verbal, there was no write-up. It was straight to 5 days. And people that have violated before have gotten either a written or the max suspension was 3 days. And that's after repetitive violations. Mine was first 5 days. Everybody says that shit's excessive as fuck. PBA even said, how come you didn't complain about it? I go, bro, if I challenge this, imagine what they're gonna do. That's how that person in charge up top was. So
it's come from number one, you believe?
came from up there, brother.
Yeah.
And needless to say, so when I'm going through all this other stuff, my daughter, this relationship I'm with, my performance is starting to decline now. But this is after that evaluation. I sent an email to my sergeant, departmental email. What's the policy say? Remember, I just told you. 3 weeks go by, no response.
Now, can you tell if you read it or no?
Yeah,
Right.
it's red receipt,
Yeah.
nothing. And then I get EAP number from a friend of mine. He started seeing the difference, knowing about your zone partners. He goes, oh, bro, I'm not gonna call. He goes, you need a fucking call. You could do this, call. And I ended up calling, man, and brother, I call EAP, and immediately once the person's on the phone, I do help and all that. I'm boohoo crying. It was like everything that was contained. And it was the intake, it wasn't the therapist. And she's like, let me get you to our 24-hour
Sure,
emergency
I'm going
therapist.
on lunch break right now. Let me transfer you.
She was so good though. She was like, let me transfer you to the 24-hour emergency therapy. They put me through, and then boo, bro. But it felt so good to all that out, and I didn't think I needed it. I was like, EAP, yeah, I'll call. You're my fucking good friend. I'm gonna call because you told me. Bro, I'm boohooing over the intake. I didn't know it was the intake. And she listened. She was good. I remember she was just silent. She was listening. Let me transfer you over. We're gonna get you help. I remember that. Then they put me, I'm talking to that guy. That guy did not let me hang up. You got this and this. Look, I'm sending you over, what's your email? I'm sending you over a list of therapists. Okay. Did you get the email? Did you send it? Yeah. I got it. No, I want you to check. That guy was, they actually gave a fuck. I never met this motherfucker in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So then it gives you a list of ones that you can, you choose.
Yeah.
And I ended up choosing a good one, man. He was a good therapist. He helped. And, but mind, I'm doing all that. And these people never knew. And then it was one day, and I'm still battling this, but I never did it on duty. I did it on my day off. I knew not to jeopardize my coworkers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just an episode happening, PTSD. And I gotta call my therapist, because he raises me, what are you doing? Clear your call, this. It was told to always keep a check, but not a good check. It was like, clear his call. While people would stay on the call milking for like hour and a half, 2 hours, my shit come fucking 40 minutes from arrival on the scene. Check his status. Man, you know damn well sometimes if you got 5 people, it takes time to get their information.
Oh, yeah.
Check his status. I don't hear anybody else getting their fucking check status. And remember, we had the CAD, so we could see.
Oh, yeah.
Motherfuckers longer on there. You're not checking them. That's workplace
So
bullying.
go to the
That's
scene, man.
hostile work environment.
Yeah. If you're worried about it so much.
And they didn't even fucking answer my email.
Yeah.
So then I'm there, and I'm like, I scheduled my appointments for always when I'm off to talk to my therapist. So I was like, fuck this, bro. He was just, I don't want to fucking hurt him and lose my job. I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna call my therapist. So I pull at the station. He walks up. What are you doing? Why'd you come, 10 at the station, seeing him? I'm calling my therapist. What therapist? EAP, if you answered my email, you would have known. Right there, because I know he fucking probably saw the shit, the email goes. But it's like, oh, fuck that, I'm not gonna do it. brother, he just backed away. And I just talked to him. Like, bro, this is what's going on with my therapist, bro. I was like, he's like, just calm down, this and that, boom, boom, boom. He was asking if you could leave and burn out the time. You know? If they say no, go home sick. Say you're sick. So, I guess Sergeant didn't want to battle that. So what he did was, okay, I'm not feeling well. I gotta go. Okay, put in the time. Okay. So, bro, ever since then, it was less and less coming to work. Anxiety, anxiety attacks. The day before going to work, starting my new, from your weekend, when you start the new week, I would get that. And then a couple of times I tried to battle through it, like I put my pants on, and then getting dressed, I was like panic attacks, anxiety. I couldn't, bro. So then I would just stay home in bed 6 months, Mike, and just get out of bed to do a fucking line or a bump and get back in bed. Not even be like, just the endorphin, just coping.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember, you have to call out every day when you're not coming to duty. Bro, there were times that I wouldn't even call and they didn't even fucking check up, but they knew what was going on. My therapist sent a letterhead saying he would benefit from a light duty assignment, and he could make better progress in his therapy benefiting from a light duty assignment, or, being able to stay home with pay, you know what I mean? While doing his therapy. Brother, I got that letter. One, that's a HIPAA thing. You know that.
Yeah.
HR and up. I was told that the only way to get light duty approved was to submit it through the site. I go, this is a HIPAA. This is HIPAA. Listen, man. I'm just following orders. That was from the sergeant. My last sergeant, he was good, bro. Not the one with the evaluation. My last one. I went to the academy with him. He was good. He was good. He checked up on me a couple times. He did. But nobody else, bro. And mind you, remember, and a lot of times he was A/in the captain position, so he didn't have time to call and check. I understand. But nobody even checked the status on me. And I remember one time he called, I think he called twice during the 6 months, maybe 3 times. And, yeah, how you doing? I remember saying any word back on that letter. He goes, "Man, I got nothing back, brother. I'm gonna check again. I'll follow up." I went to the academy with him, and he was straight up. He could have lied. He was straight up. I submitted it and he was told, because he made a phone call about the light duty, and they said no, he has to get it, submit it.
It's amazing.
And he was like, "Listen, I'm following orders." So order me? Yeah. So, and they ignored that letter from a therapist. They ignored my email crying for help, and I even taught about my daughter. And they ignored that, so ignored it. I could have went to the station, blown myself. I could have been a loose cannon out there during that time, right?
Oh, yeah.
How many times we see of that? Officers taking their lives daily, some on duty, some from the station.
My son killed himself a year ago, last February, in the precinct locker room.
And brother, let me tell you, bro, I remember being home and then having the cool sergeant, my boy,
Yeah.
and IA sergeant come to my house to serve me recommendation for termination papers. And another suspension. I'm like, that's when I bring up, what about the departmental email? I didn't hear nothing about an email. What about this letter? I didn't hear nothing about no letter. This come from IA. And then I go, look, he goes, what is it you need? I go, I need help.
Now you contacted him. You need it all during this whole time or no?
Me?
Yeah.
Brother, I wasn't in the right fucking mind.
Yeah. I was just curious as to whether they were picking up the case.
And I literally end up, the only time I did contact once they send for when they recommended termination. That's when I called and they said, okay, when things go through, then we'll follow up. Because you have to put PB on notice,
Yeah.
the way they could defend you, to argue. So that I did. But it was just the recommendation first. And brother, when I go, I need help. I broke down. I'm like weeping, I'm shaking, having an attack, an anxiety panic attack. And you know what the IA investigator says? He says, you ever thought about just going to another department, starting fresh and new? I said, no, bro, I started here with these guys, and I want to finish this. He goes, man, the guys that retired here, I still stay in touch with. Some of them moved on other agencies. I don't want to move on to another agency. I want help. But maybe a fresh start would work for you. Mike, 4 fucking times. Not a fucking shit came out of his mouth. Bro, we're gonna look to get you help. We're gonna,
Yeah.
Not one fucking thing was think about another agency. Maybe the job's not right.
Just passing the buck.
And then right before fucking leaving my house, he goes, Chris, just food for thought, just think about what I said. Maybe look into going to another department or something. I just fucking closed the fucking door. I'm fucking asking for fucking help. I broke down, popped fucking pills in front of him to calm my fucking anxiety down. I was fucking yelling, losing it. Mm-hmm. To the point where I saw a motherfucker go like this.
Really?
Mind you, bro, my stature to them, like he saw that aggression.
Yeah.
But it wasn't aggressive. It was a fucking cry for fucking help. And I need help. I want help. I don't want to leave. And that's all you could give me? But here's the best part. Him knowing that and being said that during the next 4 or 6 months, right? Do you think any help was offered?
Oh, yeah, I don't want anything.
I've told an internal affairs sergeant, I want help. I need help. Who does I report to? The chief. Directly to the chief, right or wrong?
Oh, yeah.
You have the commander of internal affairs and the chief. That's it.
Yep.
I fucking wept, broke down, asked for help, and nothing. So that fucking woman knew. That chief knew.
Absolutely.
So I'm going through all my shit. I'm going through this. I'm in this toxic relationship. I'm fucked up, man. And I remember my turning point came like I'm on a 3-day bender. 3 fucking days of, Mike, I was doing about 4, 5, maybe 4, but that's between 2 people, 4 or 5 grams of coke during those days, and drinking, 0 sleep, anything I ate, I couldn't hold down. Mike, I was down about 172 pounds.
Damn.
My skin looking like grayish, that look,
Oh, yeah.
I'm fucking dying. I couldn't hold any food down. My eyes showing black, my heart. I'm going like this, and I'm looking in the mirror. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking die. I'm gonna fucking die like that. I felt that. It's uncontrollable, throwing up. Beginning stage of overdosing.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't go to the hospital. Because what's gonna happen? They're gonna contact the agency. Hey, this guy's doing drugs. I was fucking shitting bricks. I'm gonna go to church. I'm going to church. And that woman that was living with, I said, where you going? I'm going to church. What do you think your person would do? I'm going with you. But nah, she's all caught up in her stuff. So I go. And brother, I remember I'm driving and I'm yelling at God, brother. I'm going, you could raise the dead? You give sight to the blind? Well, show me, because I need you. I'm freaking arguing with the man upstairs driving. Shouldn't have been driving in that condition. I want to say that for the
Yeah.
record. No sleep, banged up. Brother, I get there, I just go to my knees at the altar and stretch out. And I just like, bro, help me, God. I can't do this. Help me. And then I go, and I've been to church a few times. I've been a believer and a follower of Christ before, but I didn't obey his rules. And then, because I didn't want to give up that life, you know what I mean? So I remember I'm sitting down, and when I would go to church, I sit in the back. I'm in the front, brother. And I remember it, and there's the worship music, and I'm there like this, Mike, sitting down. Just like, please, God, help me. Please, God, help me. That's all I would say. And next thing you know, Mike, I wake up. And I wake up like those old school chalk line bodies. I swear, brother. And it wasn't fake, because you see the people, I thought that was fake, stay in the spirit. I thought it was fake.
Yeah.
Brother, until it happened to me, bro. And my face had the pain to prove it, bro. Bang!
Damn.
And I woke up and I was like, and I felt like all that tactical gear, SWAT gear, was off. For firefighters, like their bunker gear, you know what I mean? Like, you're under the squat rack, that heavy load. When you're racking, you're like, ah.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I felt, Mike. And I never ended up going back to drugs. No rehab, no nothing.
That was it, huh?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'll admit it too, bro. Like we talked, bro. I had my little relapse bounce backs. But it was only for like, I could say it was like maybe caved in, and then finally it was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like just a couple, what the fuck? And then I just cut off all fucking time. Like, you know, you were my fucking friend. I can't.
Yeah, yeah.
What kind of friend is gonna give you shit that's gonna kill you?
Exactly.
And then learning more and getting more involved with spirituality, what kind of energy am I attracting, bringing in?
Yep.
And that's when my life started changing for the better, brother. And then healing. And then I was like, I'm done with the department. I'm done. I couldn't even go back to work. I like that passion I had, that love that I grew to have when I didn't want to be a cop, and ended up loving it, hearing that people give me a hug, bro. And being in a community that prior cops were just bad, you know, it's predominantly black neighborhood. So now here's a light-skinned cop coming up and then actually caring about their well-being, man. Getting a hug from them saying thank you, bro. That's what kept me going. Do all the shit, but then finally it just got to where there's only so much abuse you could take, and then I needed help, and I wasn't getting help. And then God has a way, the universe has a way of just helping, brother. And my VA that normally takes forever got approved quick, and I was vested. So the pension and the VA ended up being a little even more than what I made as a cop salary.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't even put my duty belt on, bro. Even after so much, I couldn't put just that trigger.
Yeah.
But I did start my journey in on self-healing, on meditation, on breath work, on inner child work, on shadow work. All this is all necessary, but at least the first step was talking to a therapist.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I tell people, bro, you know what, man? It doesn't make you weak, brother.
No.
It takes a stronger person to say, I need help.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we take it on our loved ones. You know what I mean? Because we can't go and lose it on somebody on the street or a supervisor. We'll lose our job. Because they ain't like the old school, oh, let's go head in the back.
Yep.
Right? We'll put pen and paper. Because they're cowards. It's a tongue out like, man, just talk, hear me out. So, literally, it was like, I was done, man. I was done with the job. And I was like, okay, I'm healed, I got this. But nah, so I'm putting my heart to open up this for men. For men to not, instead of going out, you argue with your better half or whatever the case may be, a stressful day at work. Instead of going to drink and get caught up in other bullshit or whatever, come here, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It's 24-hour access.
Yeah. No, it's a healthy way to process
and
everything.
I give discounts to veterans and first responders. And this was like, it's my way of giving back, but also talking and doing guest speaking, like talking to departments and sharing this. And doing the pockets like you saw, I was doing pockets. Me and you started at the same time when we were getting interviewed.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like I had to stop. And we were like, hey, let's get together. I was opening this business till forever. And my mission never stopped to share this word, the awareness. And to tell people it's okay, you need to get help, bro. You're a tougher person getting help.
Hell yeah.
You think about the people you love. Think about, find your why to live.
Yeah. Well, it takes more to be vulnerable, more strength than it does to keep everything inside, which that's how we were taught, man. Well, learned on our own.
Exactly. That's 100%. And that's where society needs to change. Men need to be more vulnerable. That's why this is the man cave. Because men need to be more vulnerable with the men. That's why I created this. All right? To have, like, when me and you first talked on the phone for an hour and a half, when we first met, things like that is just an alpha and an alpha. Putting aside egos and just, bro, you open up. And there's nothing wrong with your friends checking up on them. Hey, bro, just think about you, bro. I love you, bro. You know what I mean? Just things like that, nurturing. And then getting rid of distancing yourself from all the negative energy, the negative people.
Yeah.
If they don't bring nothing of good to your life, get rid of it.
No. And it's not in a using people sort of way. It's what are they bringing to you? Is it positive?
Yes,
If
bro.
not, it's time to go. And that's one thing with these healing journeys. You're going to lose people. You're going to shed, I don't want to say dead weight. Maybe it's not the right way to express it, but you're losing people who are not bringing positivity into your life. But conversely, you're bringing aboard people who are bringing positive energy to your life, and those are people you want to surround yourself with and, have around you the rest of your life. You want to breathe with people that, aspire to be better. And
that's one thing I'm using my platform for on, social media. Because, I got 49,000 followers. So not much, a bunch of other you guys out there. But before it was just used for thirst, try to put it out there to get women. I use it for ego. I use it for validation. Now, I deleted all those pictures, all that. And now it's about bringing awareness and showing my transition, being from my military and then police and SWAT to now embracing the spiritual life, man.
Yeah.
I'm not changing, because people have this typical, am I right, bro? We talked about this. People have this perspective, like the woohoos, it's like, well, Mike, today we're going to meditate. Me and you, we're spiritual people as well. But look at you. You're still hardcore life, but you're aware now. And you also do it for healing.
Yeah.
It's helping you heal. Same here. It's like, I'm not a chinchilla, I'm still Chris. But now, it's like I said, on one of my posts, I go, still a warrior. Because that mindset never changes, man.
Yep.
I still shoot. I still train in combatives. I like to embody the Bushido code, the warrior. But that's what it was. It's like, I always thought warrior has to be, I train to fight, I do this, that, and look how I love it, train my body. No, bro, there's a spiritual side.
Yeah.
And brother, when you combine all that, the yin with the yang,
Oh, yeah.
oh my God, bro, life.
No, it's balance. It's all about balance in life.
And life is
Yeah.
worth living, and life is great, bro.
Absolutely.
It makes it more better. It's like what you're doing, what I'm trying to do, and that's help people. Live a life of purpose.
Yep.
Not a selfishness. And that's what I'm trying to do now, bro. And it's still like the other thing is still ongoing learning to heal, because there's more than one way to heal. You know
Absolutely.
that? Like you, what intrigued me, what got our conversation very first time was the ayahuasca.
Yep.
So like, basically, there's more than one treatment out there. Breath work, meditation, you with the ayahuasca, which led me to want to talk to you and find out more about that, which I'll plan on experiencing that.
Yeah.
Because
I want to bring you to a retreat.
I did the mushroom journey.
Yep.
And brother, that helped realize traumas that I thought I dealt with. I really thought I dealt with, even with a therapist. It just brings it out.
Yeah.
Because it goes to what you may set the intention of what you want, but it's gonna find what you need.
Exactly.
And
Doesn't care about what we want, brother. It's gonna give us what we need.
And also microdosing of mushrooms. Microdosing without the hallucinogenic effect.
Yep.
Has helped me on the regular. 2 days on, 1 day off. 2 days on.
Yeah.
Like
Me and my wife did also a 5 on 2 off. Yeah, it's not. And for those who are watching, microdosing is something you do not feel. You're not going to feel any effects. It's very, very subtle. But I'm not going to go all through all the benefits here. Do your research. But it's worked greatly for us. The ayahuasca has changed my life. Number one. I mean, there's a place for psychedelics, but it's not for everyone. Some people may not feel the calling. And I'd spoken to you about ETMS therapy. That's essentially very low dosage shock therapy in one respect. And if you're active or retired law enforcement or military veteran in the state of Florida, all you need is your military ID, Florida ID, and the treatment is free. It's, I think, $20,000 or $30,000 treatment. Takes course over the place of, I think, 5 weeks. It's Monday through Friday. I think it's 20 to 30 minutes. And it's absolutely free for those who qualify. Life-changing. I interviewed a man named Doug White. He's an Air Force veteran and a 25-year veteran of Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. He said it was life-changing for him. It helps with PTSD, trauma, all your cognitive functioning, just a multitude of things that it helps with. And he said it was miraculous for him. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to try it myself as well.
And that's the thing, is that there's so many different things out there.
Yep.
And then,
But I will guarantee you this, sorry to interrupt. If you do nothing, that's exactly what's going to change. Absolutely nothing.
100%. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And then, if anything, if you're like, find your why to change. I always use that adage about, like, telling people when they're like, about you got to do the work.
Yep.
Yourself. You got to do the work. Because what do they say when you're in a plane? In case of an emergency, put your mask first.
Take care of yourself first.
And then you're able to help the others. So how are you going to be able to help other people, your loved ones, your friends, or like what we're doing? We have to do the work.
Yeah.
And the work is continuous. It never stops.
No.
When you think you know it all, you don't. That's the worst thing.
Yeah. No one does. You know what I mean? You're a human being.
And like
we're
with
imperfect.
Me, I'm trying, like, with the breath work, learning new things, the meditating with crystals, because there's energy in that stuff. I wrote a book, breath work for mental resilience. And then
What's the name of the book?
Huh?
What is the name of the book?
It's called The Calm Warrior, and it's breath work for mental resilience.
And then where can people find it?
It's actually going to be released now. It's going to be coming out soon, probably within the month.
Nice.
It's always been a delay, but right now it's finalized, but now we're working on, like, the funnel of it. You know what I mean? To
Yep.
put it out there. But also, in that same process, I have my coaching program. It kind of coincides with that, and it's called the Multiplicity Coaching Program. Because after everything I've been through, remember, it takes one to know one. Like, if you're getting a coach from a cop, or you're getting coached from a veteran, former SEAL, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you get your coaching from, you know what I mean? We've been there, we've done that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so who better than to get coached or mentored than somebody that hit fucking rock bottom?
Yep.
And the mindset can help instill the mindset in you, because it lies within you. Sometimes you just got to bring it out.
Yeah, everything's within us.
And it takes that one person, who knows how to do it. How can you be coached if you hit rock bottom by somebody that's never hit rock bottom?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Well, that's when I realized I had PTSD and I knew I needed help. I knew I was living with this for the rest of my life, and I knew I was going to get help. And I thought about it, and traditional counseling just didn't appeal to me. I was like, how am I going to talk to some man or woman sitting behind a desk who's never seen or done anything I've seen or done? and they're going to tell me
100.
how to, correct or heal myself. I just didn't think it was possible. And that's kind of why I went the psychedelic therapy route.
Yeah.
And, that in and of itself is not, it's not every answer to, every question why. Like you said, you need to do additional work. Healing is not linear, kind of ebbs and flows. But to me, that was like 10 years of therapy in one weekend.
Yeah.
It kind of took down all the walls that were surrounding me. And it lets you look at things you never saw before, or lets you look at things that you've always seen, but look at them from a different perspective. And the greatest thing that ayahuasca has done for me is let me become vulnerable, which I was never able to do in my life.
100%.
And I'm able to speak about my feelings and speak to others about their feelings. And you don't feel weak doing it. About 2 months ago, I had
And it's encouraging.
Yeah.
When you see somebody your stature,
That's what happened to me.
Your career and everything, you hear that, you see that, and then you're hearing it from them. So you're like, shit, man, if this worked for him,
Yeah.
it's worth a try.
Exactly.
I got nothing to lose.
That's exactly what happened to me. This shirt is not a proclamation. This is actually a company owned by a man named Eddie Penny. He's a former SEAL, Team 6 guy. He was on Sean Ryan's podcast about 2 years ago. I sat down and watched it, and as he's recounting the story of the Extortion 17 incident in which a Chinook got shot down in Afghanistan, killing all 38 aboard, including 17 SEALs at the time. I think still is the biggest loss in the SEAL community in one incident. He was crying about escorting his best friend Jason Workman's body back to his hometown. And as I'm watching this, I'm simultaneously thinking about a call I had 5 years before about a 2-year-old found floating in a pool that I had. And dude, I just started crying like a baby. And now looking back, subconsciously, it was that this fucking warrior was crying, telling me it was okay to do so.
Yes, bro.
And that let me cry.
Yes.
And that's why I do this podcast, like to pay it forward for other dudes who are watching. Now, an Army Ranger who got emotional, or a SEAL got emotional, or a former F-18 pilot, just alpha males who's showing them at some of their lowest points,
Yeah, man.
and feeling emotion, and the fact that it's not weakness, it's actually strength. And, I don't think you could be any stronger than showing a man how to feel emotion and go forward. And now he's expressing himself to family members, to kids, to his children. And, you can't tell me that bond's not getting strengthened, and it's not showing his child, his boy, how to be a man.
Exactly. What a real man.
Yeah.
A real man. And if you look up the dictionary term, modern day alpha, because before it was, they seek validation. They always want the leader role. All that stuff, right? Now there's no need for validation. I have nothing to prove. There's nothing to prove to anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I couldn't care less what other people think, to be honest with you.
At all. I just want to feel good. I want to be happy. I want to enjoy life. And I want to help others enjoy life.
Yeah.
I want to help others realize that if you look hard enough when you're in that black hole, there is a light. And it's small, but you look hard enough, you're going to find it.
Yep.
And then the closer you get to it, what happens, Mike?
It gets brighter and brighter.
Brighter and brighter.
And bigger and bigger. Yeah.
But you just don't stop. Don't stop the work. Keep doing the work. You can do it. And that's what we're doing. That's what you're doing here. You having these podcasts with all these type of individuals is what's helping bring that light to people. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
helping people realize this. So, shit, look at this guy. These are the guys that you see Chuck Norris playing in movies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yet, they realize the vulnerability. They realize, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of my biggest messages. I had, like I was saying, I got contacted by a former coworker about 2 months ago. He was watching one of my podcasts, and he said he started crying. And he paused it, and he wanted to call me, but he's like, I felt weird, so I didn't. And then he's watching a second episode, and he starts crying, and he paused it, and he's like, that's when I left you a message. I got a message from him, and called him back, and he's like, dude, he's like, all the stuff I've gone through, he's like, I need to release it, but who the fuck do I talk to? The only one that's going to understand is another cop. But no one's touched their feelings, so what the fuck are they going to be able to tell me?
Exactly.
He's like, you're the only guy I know that's vulnerable enough to show you, yourself getting emotional, and so you're the guy I got to speak to. Like, there's no one else that I can speak to. I'm like, hey, it means a lot, bro, and that's what I feel like the universe has brought me here to do. Again, like that's my biggest takeaway from ayahuasca, my psychedelics, is that it's allowed me to become vulnerable. And, not just we're talking about this, but, my wife, like expressing my feelings. I was not the most emotionally open man. I was raised by a very stern dad, and just kind of took that through my whole life, and he was mentally abusive, for lack of a better phrase, and I just became calloused. So instead of going through that pain, man, I was basically calloused up, didn't feel anything, because you don't want to feel that pain, so then you start feeling nothing.
And it just builds up.
Yeah.
It builds up. And then now you get in a career field where you can't show that.
Yeah,
pain.
it's like this hyper-masculinized field we go into.
Exactly.
No one shows emotion now.
When we get on a scene, we're supposed to be the savior. We're supposed to be, okay, I'm here. While other people are running from the danger, we're running to it.
Yeah.
And then we're seeing things, we're seeing that loss, and all we want to do is, deep down, it's like, man, I'm feeling this emotion, like breaking down, whatever. But now look, or make this person think, the person we're helping, the caller, the victim, it's like, we feel we have to show that strength. But guess what? There's nothing wrong. And if you guys are watching as a cop, you're seeing a person being vulnerable and shaken up. If you're feeling that emotion, bro, just hug that person. Go, hey, you want a hug? You're okay. You're safe. You're safe now. And the same thing, man, after you're on a critical incident, what difference would it, what major impact would it have made if you had, like, if we were working together and when you saw the child floating, and I walked up to you and I was like, Mike, you okay? And you're like, do this, and I just went, bro, it's okay, come here.
Oh, yeah. Well,
it would have made a huge difference.
Yeah, to echo your sentiments, bro, about that specific call. It's my only call.
You got me earlier. You see? Bro, don't do this, bro, to me, please.
Payback.
Bro.
One call, 30 years, bro. I started crying. Was that one? But instead of letting myself cry, which would have been the greatest thing, I literally was like, you fucking pussy, you can't cry. Yeah, I should have just lost it, man. I went to go behind the pool and I started to cry and I stopped myself. And again, it would have been the greatest thing I could have done, but I didn't do it. And I just buried that shit after that. I actually got in touch with her family, beautiful girl named Dana Sikorsky. Wrote them a 4-page letter because she survived.
You allowed me that opportunity, like you shared the letter with me.
Yeah. I told you about it.
That was impactful, bro.
Right after writing it.
Impactful.
And, I had such guilt. It was crazy mix of emotions for saving her, which I would do, the same way every time. But then I felt guilt for having the guilt because essentially she was supposed to be, vegetative state her whole life. She had a hypoxic brain injury. And then her parents were so gracious and were just over the moon about getting her back in whatever condition she was in. They kept inviting me to the house and I couldn't do it. I finally went in one day and I saw her the way she was. She wasn't tracking with her eyes or anything like that. And she's made great progress since, but she was essentially in a vegetative state. And I started welling up my tears. And radio traffic came over the radio and I pretended it was for me. I'm like, 220, copy call. It wasn't even a call, but I copied the call and I split. I'm like, I never go back in that house again. And I wrote him a letter about everything. It was 4 pages. And we reestablished contact. And he was very gracious again, but he had no idea what was going on. And I was like, listen, your daughter is saving people's lives through me now. Like, I told him the whole story of everything that happened with me. And it's funny because a lot of times we have no idea why we're going through the shit we're going through, but there's always a plan. I firmly believe that. And I didn't know it at the time, but the universe had to have me at that house for that call, for this to all that happened, because I don't think I ever would have.
You're a type of character, you're a stature, because that's going to make people listen. If this big, ogre-looking dude could change and be emotional.
Yeah. So, in a couple of my journeys, the universe told me I put you through everything, and I made you, I know I look like a meathead, man, 240 pounds, tats, bald head, but I made you look like this for a reason, because you're going to walk into a room and guys and girls are going to listen. So I'm like, all right. So I was basically, I'm a vessel, man. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do. And literally after the end of my first journey, the universe said, I healed you. Your mission is now to go forth to help other first responders and vets heal theirs. Man, I out loud said, okay. Wasn't sure how I was going to do it, but this is, one of the ways of doing it. And, just like you, man, there's nothing more fulfilling than helping someone, or save someone, really, because most of these guys and girls are not in good places. So
giving them hope, bro.
Yeah.
There's hope. It's work, and it's daily work. Sometimes you're gonna feel good for a week, a month, months, but then things are gonna come. But now you have the tools. Get the tools. Increase your knowledge. Do research out there. There's so many organizations. People can reach out to you. They can reach out to me, and we can provide them other resources.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But don't stop doing the work.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And one great organization, my buddy Wiz Buckley runs No Fallen Heroes Foundation. You can find him on Instagram, or I think it's nofallenheroes.com. And he's a former F-18 pilot. He's gone through his healing journey. Ibogaine has helped him greatly, but his organization helps first responders, veterans, Gold Star family members, and family members of all the above categories with psychedelic therapies. So you apply through his organization, and they'll send you free of charge to psilocybin, mostly psilocybin retreats. I think they've done some Ibogaine, but Ibogaine is very, very expensive. So it's usually psilocybin, but Wiz and his organization are just doing unbelievable things.
And another thing that just came to my mind to bring up is it's like, I know we've been talking about the first responders, the veterans, us, the individuals, but it's the families that suffer.
Yeah.
The families.
We bring all the shit home to
everybody
them.
thinks, I can't get PTSD. I wasn't a veteran, a first responder. No, man. Everyday life struggles could have that.
Yep.
So, like, if people are watching right now and you've not a family member of one, or you're not a first responder or a veteran, but daily struggles, your daily life experiences, people that experience stuff in their life and they weren't even cops, they're probably worse than us, man. Look at third world countries, for example. You're telling me they don't got PTSD? But
Oh, no
things
doubt.
like that, where people need to realize that it's okay to get that therapy, man. You know what I mean? And then veterans and first responders, to add on top of that, their families could benefit from therapy.
Absolutely.
Because they're the ones seeing the struggle. And sometimes we unleash on them. We take it out on them.
Oh, yeah.
Because we don't know how to check it at the door.
Yeah.
That's why with me, breath work is tremendous. Because I could be having a shit day. And on the way driving home, it just breath work. And I check that shit that happened that day at the door.
That's
So
huge.
it's little things to work, things to do, but it's the family as well that suffer. I know we've been talking a lot about like the veteran and first responder, but it's also the families.
Oh, absolutely.
And
You know.
there's help out there, like, you mentioned those organizations. Me, big one for me is Boulder Crest. Boulder Crest is huge.
Yep.
And Bleeding Blue. Bleeding Blue for like locally down here in Miami, Florida, they do, and Broward County, they do a lot for first responders. But Boulder Crest, man, they helped me, that Struggle Well course. And then they have another one called Warrior Path, which I was invited to. I just got to find the scheduling to go to that. But Boulder Crest helps veterans and first responders and their families, man. So go check them out, Boulder Crest.
Absolutely, brother. Great info. So listen, tell everyone if they want to get in touch with you how to do so, social medias, books.
Social media.
This guy's got everything going on.
That's by the grace of God, brother. And I'm very grateful for that. All the glory goes to him. But my Instagram is Kable with a K, not like the cable man with a C. Kable with a K, KABLE_official. My business is Miami Man Cave. And then my book coming out is The Calm Warrior, and that's Breathwork for Mental Resilience. And also, shortly, probably within the next month or less, is the Multiplicity Coaching Program, which entails life coach, mindset coaching, breathwork, and meditation, as well as provides workouts, nutritional, the complete mind, body, soul. You can't just target one, brother.
Yeah.
It's the whole holistic approach.
Yeah, exactly. It's a collective.
So guys, please take advantage. Check that out. I'm here for you guys, just like Mike is. And I thank you guys for watching this, man.
Absolutely.
I really do.
Links will be in the bio for all of Chris's stuff. Guys, thanks again for watching. Please hit like and subscribe if you like. And hopefully we just change one person's life. That's all I'm looking to do every episode. Brother, thank you once again.
Thank you for
Unbelievable having
me,
you on.
brother. Love you, brother.
All right, love you.